Okay, all my 6.0 guys, no start guys, hot no start guys, running like crap guys, stuff like that. I see a lot of posts on these Facebook groups I'm in, and they're just like I was when I first bought one. They're just throwing money at it, you know, and trying to fix it themselves. And you know, you can't afford these shops charge you, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 just to pull the dang, you know, part of it apart. But I want to go through a few things. I've got a scanner in here. I'll do that on the different episodes, show you how to do the scan test with this digital scanner if you've got one of those. But I've got a few pieces here, and I'm going to take this apart. Now, the intakes off this, the EGR tubes off this, the oil coolers out of it. Before you freak out because it's sitting out in the weather, this motor's shot. It's missing a couple pistons. I got it off a kid. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to get through this high-pressure oil system and all the O-rings that are always missed and stuff like that. People always, the old 7.3s and stuff, it's always an injector, always an injector. People go after injectors. That's what they done on this motor, and that's not what was wrong with it. And they ended up screwing a lot of stuff up. The way this oil system is designed with this high-pressure oil pump is the oil pressure. There's two oil pumps on here, a normal oil pump and a high-pressure oil pump. It's designed, it opens them injectors as it builds up oil pressure. Hydraulic oil pressure opens the injectors. What that does is that makes sure, that ensures that in order for your vehicle to run, you've got proper oil viscosity and proper pressure. That will make this motor last 2 to 3 times longer than a regular motor. That's the concept of it. That's why I love these motors. When I get, of course, I don't go past 3,000, 4,000 miles on mine. But if when I first got it, you know, I could tell the oil, you know, when I first got it and crunk it, you know, got it put together and stuff, got it crunk up, I was immediately going to change oil. Is what I always do when I get a vehicle. But I could tell it was a lot slower starting. When I changed the oil, it started up faster because there's no telling how long they ran that oil. It was wore out. But anyway, let's jump off into this. I've made a bunch of videos in the past of taking this stuff off one by one, and I'm going to post that. So follow this link to my YouTube if you're seeing this on Facebook, and subscribe, and I'm going to be posting those videos over the next few days. I've already made them. I just got to go through and find them and post them. But like I said, I've pulled the fuel, all the fuel filter and the oil filter and all that stuff off. Your oil cooler goes right here. Obviously, you've got water from the, you know, antifreeze and water and stuff going through it to cool it off. And then you've got your intake going right there on top of your heads on this side, and you got your EGR tube coming through there. When you do, the EGR tube comes out of this right here. I'll show you how to do a delete on that EGR without having to buy nothing. All you got to do is weld those two holes up. Some people make little plates. I don't like that. I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen the other, whatever, but this way looks stock. You know, you can't tell by looking at it. But anyway, once you get all that off, you're going to pull your H-pop cover off. Be patient with me. I'm holding my phone while I'm doing this. I wanted to put it all together so that y'all can see it in actuality, me pulling it off. So once you get those bolts out, I'm going to show you. You got bolts all down the side, and then you're going to have a little thing on the back with a bolt right there and a bolt over here that's holding on. Those two bolts right there are on the back of the motor back there. They're holding on a little heat shield. So then once you get that off, you've got your H-pop, your high pressure oil pump. This one's bad. So that gear, you know, from the motor runs that, it pumps this oil up, you know, into your turbo and all that stuff. All right, your oil ends up coming through your standpipe, which is down in here. Now that standpipe is right here. It goes down in there. It gets threaded in, torqued to a certain specification. This snaps onto it. And you got a little keeper. You got to push up on this and pull it out at the same time. It's like a little thing. You know, you got to slide. They got a tool for it. You can buy the tool. But there's an O-ring on the bottom of that. If it's nicked or chipped or anything, you'll lose pressure right there. That's down inside of here. Okay, now once you get up there, it comes out of your standpipe. It goes through what's called your flex tube. This is a late 03 model. Some of your later models, 05 and up. I think some of the 04 models, I've actually got an 04. People argue about this, but I'm telling you, I've got a mid to late 04. And some of them have some stuff on them. They was mixing them up, man. Some of them had the 03 stuff on them. Some of them had the 04 stuff on them. The early 03s, a lot of people say they're 73s. I don't know. I know mine's a 03. Well, I got one 03. That black one's a 03, and it's a 6.0. Every truck I've got, 6.0, 6.0, 6.0, 6.0, 6.0. I built every one of these trucks. I ain't finished with that one yet. I put, they're all manual transmissions too, every one of them. But anyway, once you go through this flex tube, what I was getting at your later models, Right there's the oil rail on the later models. I'm gonna get that in a minute. The oil delivery system is different to it. It doesn't have a flex tube. But anyway, these here, they go to the flex tube and they go to your oil rail. Now, what this oil rail does, it's right here. This oil rail, see, it's upside down. I'm gonna show you. It would normally sit in there, boom, just like that. All right. So what's under there? What goes under there? Where's my injector? I've got an injector here somewhere. Okay, let's pull this valve up. Right here is how this oil rail sits in there. It goes right in there. Those are called nipple cups. And they go right into that injector right there. Just like that. I'm going to get an injector and show you. Hang on just a second. Okay, I've got an injector sitting here. Don't worry about this motor. It's old. So if you cringe when that fell, don't worry about it. Right here's an injector. You know, they're normally bolted right down in there. So what's going to happen? Let's just pretend this is that injector. That oil tube sits down on top of these injectors, and this ball valve nipple cup sits right down in there, and the oil goes right through there. Okay, you got several areas of trouble here. There's a little O-ring right there. I've had every one of my trucks I've done this on. A couple of them I had to, and a lot of people on YouTube and stuff online say, although you don't ever have to worry about those. You don't ever have to worry about those. I'm gonna tell you bullshit. You do have to worry about them, because I went through everything and I finally ordered a test kit. I'm gonna get to it in a minute, and I'm gonna show you that test kit. And this is where it was leaking at right here, and I'm gonna show you why. You got to imagine. All right, see this? Let me get this cleaned off really good. And you can see, look at this real close. See that? As minute as that scoring is right there, see that little ring around it? As minute as that is, what's done that is 4,500 psi of oil pressure. See, when these things, you know, they dry up, heat, whatever, if it gets just a little bit of oil shooting through there, imagine a pressure washer. It's the same thing, man. You know, it's hydraulic pressure is hydraulic pressure. So it shoots through there and it just cuts at it and eats at it and cuts at it and eats at it. Also, on the bottom of these right here, this is where these nipple cups go in. You have to have a tool. They sell it on Amazon. You can get it at parts stores or whatever. That tool, a regular socket won't fit because it's a real thin wall. That tool fits down in there and threads those in and threads those out. It also aligns them. So I'm going to tell you something. It's a good rule of thumb. They say when you pull these out, if they move, see how that, if they move and they're hard to move, but they're steady, I would imagine they might be okay. But if they're herky-jerky, they won't move, and it's like that one did. It's hard to get it to move, and then once it breaks loose, it moves real fast. I think that's a sign of a bad one. I know when, see that right there, I got to put a lot of pressure. It's herky-jerky. You hear it snapping in there. Now, when I put them in new, of course, you want to try not to move them. Once you put them in new, that alignment tool aligns them. But you know, if you have to move them, if something happens, you get bumped, you move it. But they move. They're hard to move, but they're steady. Always, also, let me tell you something else. All these O-rings, soak them in oil. I soak them for 15 minutes before I ever even start putting them together. I soak them in oil. Let that get saturated in there. But anyway, what I'm getting at, there's an O-ring around the bottom of this thing, down inside there, around the bottom of this. Down inside this oil rail, there's an O-ring. It sits down in it. And then this, like I said, goes off in this injector. Bingo, right there, like that, right there. Now that O-ring, you know, they say the solenoids can go bad on these. I've never had a problem with an injector. The only problem I've had is those O-rings. This O-ring right here, I've got a video on how to change these O-rings. You just take this thing apart. There's several O-rings. You get the kit, it's got that little thing right there with the compression fitting and everything. It's got all that. Every one of these O-rings are easy to put on. The only hard one is this one right here. You got to get that little snap ring clip out right there. You can see it. You get that little clip out and you push your O-ring down in there. Sorry, my neighbor, he's rough. He got a little Dixie horn. He usually hits on the way out. Anyway, when you push that in there and you get you some of those little hooks, those little, you know, the little picks with a hook on them, and you take two of them and your O-ring will be threaded down in there. And then as you're pulling it out, you pull one piece of it out, the top part that's coming out, you get it over into the tube, and then you hold it there with one pick, and then you just gently pull the rest of it, just work it in there. There's a guy on YouTube does it in live action, but it's aggravating. But once you get one in there, the rest of them, you know, they ain't no big problem. The first one's you're gonna pull your hair out and everything, but after you do that first one, it's like, oh shit, that ain't too bad. So all right, so we've got just remember, all these O-rings, you got one on your standpipe, you got them on your flex tube. Usually those, I've never had no problems out of these, but you've got an O-ring right there. I mean, any O-ring can go bad. So I'm not going to say, oh, you don't have to worry about these. Because, I mean, when you're in here, when you've done all this work, change them damn things, okay? Change them. You know, some of them, $15, $20 for the whole kit of part of it. I mean, that ain't the whole motor, but, you know, part of it, $15, $20 for the kit. I mean, most of these O-rings you get on eBay, of course, they say some of them are cheaper made or whatever. Just do your little research. I mean, they're called something. I can't remember the word for them, but you can get on a forum, and people will tell you there's always going to be know-it-all people that are sometimes right and they're sometimes wrong. But I go with the majority rule if I don't really know something. But anyway, so remember, you change all these O-rings in here, the nipple cup, get your injectors out, take them apart, replace all them O-rings on them, put your new standpipe in. You can get them for $15, $20 a piece, ain't much. I don't remember, 25 maybe. Put them in there. Now, let's go to the old 5 models. You got dummy plugs in these. Other than your dummy plugs and your flex pipe and stuff difference, there's not a lot of difference. You still got the nipple cups. Now, I'm going to get to this test kit. I want to show you. I'm trying to move fast because you lose people's attention. Let me go over here and get the H-pop cover that I dropped on the ground. It don't matter, this motor's shot anyway. I mean, the pistons, there was a piston all in that motor. It looks like you run it through a wood chip and threw it in there. I mean, the main bearings, crank, everything's got to be gone. So this is your H-pop cover, okay? Right in here is where your little turbo, all that little tube that comes up near your turbo goes in, everything. Here's your IPR. It threads in here, your IPR valve. This commands, you know, you got your fickum that commands this open and shut to where it allows that oil to pump through there, right? Anybody that knows anything about a 6.0 can understand that, but I know there's some people on here that really don't know much about these trucks. They just got one. So that's what happens. Your fickum, that's totally different videos. You got fickum issues at your fuel injection control module. It's got certain parameters and they're kind of a trouble spot too. But anyway, it commands this on. It'll be between 15 and 85%. If it's ever at 85%, you've probably got a leak because it's running 85% capacity, trying to compensate for the leak. So my scanner will show desired oil pressure and actual oil pressure. So if your desired oil pressure, if it's trying to crank and you're up our 4,000 psi and you've only got 600 psi, you've clearly got a leak or a bad high pressure oil pump. But anyway, now if you've got an issue with one of these and you want to find out what it is and you don't want to spend $400, $500, $600 just to find out what it is, Amazon sells a kit. It's right here. It's like 12 bucks. Let's get this thing dumped out. Now, one of these, this one right here, will go into your ICP sensor, which is back here on some models. It's on your valve cover on other models. I don't want to put that there because then you've got to command this open. You have to have a scan tool that'll command this open. I don't want to do that. There's no sense in that. My scan tool, it probably will, but I've not got that far into it. It does a little bit of everything. I'll show you that in a different video. But that's all. You shouldn't, unless you're in question about your IPR valve, I ain't gonna fool with that. This other part of it, see, it's got its own little O-rings and stuff. It comes with a kit to redo that IPR valve. It comes with that little screen. That's another video. When you go to repair these IPR valves, a lot of times they're an issue too. I'm glad I saw that. This little O-ring right here around the edge, if there's any nicks in that whatsoever, that'll cause it to no start. If you've got any holes in that little screen right there, it won't focus real good. But if you got any holes in that little screen right there, let me pull this other screen up and show you what I'm talking about. There's a little screen in there. See that little screen? If you pull your IPR out and there's a little, it don't take nothing if there's a little hole in that screen, or you can get some grit back down in there, any kind of grit that'll cause that spring to get hung up or caught up, and it stays open all the time or won't open and stays closed all the time. These are a trouble spot. They're not too expensive. You can get them, but you can usually figure out if it's IPR valve. You can unplug your ICP sensor sometimes on some of them, and if it'll start. There's a video on that. Go look up Diesel Tech Ron. He explains that. I can explain it, but I don't want to do it in this video because I want to stay with the O-rings. All right. So like I said, this kit, this all come from Amazon. Take the IPR valve, set it over here. This whole kit comes from Amazon for 12 bucks. You got an option. You can thread it into the ICP sensor, which I don't recommend unless you've got, like I said, a scanner that'll command it closed. And you've got this one right here, threads right into your IPR valve. Take an air hose and hook to that right there and listen. Listen for leaks. That's all you got to do. And you can hear a leak. You can hear it under these valve covers. You'll hear it under one side. Pull that valve cover off and see where it's at. You know what I mean? It's that simple. And then you get your O-ring kit. If it's a standpipe, get your standpipe. But like I said, I highly recommend, if you're in here, do it all, because it's a nightmare pulling this stuff out of a truck. You know, just do it all while you're in there. But if you're on a budget, you can't afford it, you know, and you got more. If you've got more time than you got money, then just buy one, whatever O-ring it's that you need. You know, if it's the nipple valves or whatever, you know, you get the whole kit. Do the nipple valves. If it's a standpipe, just do the standpipe. That's up to you. But that's the basic gist of this system, you know, of how you get through this, how you test it, and then replacing all the O-rings in it. I mean, that's it, man. That's the worst part about these 6.0s. It really keeps everybody, you know, up in, you know, throwing money at them and stuff, is that high pressure oil system. And a lot of shops, they'll get you in there. They don't care if you take your money. You know, they'll get you in there. And they'll, well, I think it's this, and they'll do that, charge you for it. Well, it ain't that. I think it might be this, and you know, and that's what the problem is with these people. Just take advantage of people. You know, there's not a lot of honest mechanics out there. I tell you what, while we're at it, we'll go through a few more things. Your wiring harness on these is bad. Where it plugs into your fickum, every one of those little pins that plugs into your fickum. Let's see if I've got one here. This goes to the PCM, but you know those little pins that goes up in that right there. You got some on the fickum like that where the plug goes up in there. Every little pin has to be in there. Right here is one of them. See all those little individual pins in there. You see how there's actually one or two on this one. This is the bad harness, I believe. I think this is one of my bad harnesses. There's a couple of them pins that don't go all the way up to the plastic, so it doesn't make good contact with the fickum. You can get in there and wiggle it. You know, if you got no start and then you wiggle it a little bit and it starts to start, well, you know it's right there. But I actually had one. I had one harness. It may be this one. Yeah, this one right here. I had a harness. See that right there? It got into one of these wheels. So chase your harness down. Make sure it's not rubbing somewhere, chafing somewhere. And that's exactly where it was at right there. It goes down in here. It goes into your motor right there. Or it don't go into your motor, but it got up in that. It goes right down here. Let's see. It goes down here. It actually does go into part of your crank. Let's see. What does that do right there? I think it's hung under a bolt. Anyway, it got into that wheel right there. Of course, like I said, this come from a kid. I never had this motor running. You know, it come out of that black truck. But you've got also where you plug into your injectors. There can be issues right there. If anybody's ever pulled that out, there's 4 prongs on each one of them injectors. And they're easy to pull out of the little rubber piece. If anybody's ever pulled it and went to put them back in there and they put them back in the wrong way, it won't be right. It'll throw codes. See right over here is you got your 4 prongs. These right here, you know, those little plugs that plug down into this. See, those just slip right up in through here, and you snap them up in there, just like on this side over here. So it'll throw injector circuit low or something like that, and it'll be intermittently all over the place. It'll say injector 1, injector 2, injector 3. It'll be different every time you check it. I had one do that, and it was one of them little pieces of the harness on it. But you can just always check for chafing in your harness and war spots and stuff like that. And you know, if you know you're good with all this oil pressure and stuff, your injector's working, everything like that, your fickum's good, your fickum voltage is good. You know, you can check in fickums, they got to be 48 volts, you know, when you got the key on and stuff like that. But if all that's good and you still got a problem, get out here, have somebody start your truck and wiggle your harness. And if you can get it to fire, just pay attention to where it's wiggling at and just run it down, you know. But anyway, I'm going to put some more videos up, y'all. Like, share, subscribe. If you see us on Facebook, go to my YouTube. There's a few more videos and there's a bunch more coming. I'm going to show you one more thing. On that white dually, which is the first 6.0 I ever had, I had never had a diesel. I do outdoor fireplaces, masonry work and stuff. And that white dually right there, that's my work truck. That's why it's so full of tools and everything. But that's the first diesel I ever had. And when I went to get it, I thought it was a 7.3 because I'd done a little bit of research. And, you know, I'd never worked on a diesel. And I was scared of them. You know, as far as a gas truck goes, I can take them apart and put them together, my eyes closed. But I just hadn't ever worked on a diesel and I was scared of them. So I wanted something that I thought would be reliable. So I thought it was a 7.3. And I went and looked at it and found out it was a 6.0. And I jumped on YouTube and I was just scared to death of it, man. I'd done a little bit of research standing there talking to the guy, and he acted like a junkie, man. And I got the truck super cheap because of some crazy stuff that was going on. He had it it was landlocked in a piece of property and they didn't want to let him get it out. It was snowing, it wouldn't run. He had told me, I got up there and it didn't have no oil in it. He had told me his son just changed the oil in it on the way up there. And I said, well, the oil's dry. What do you mean he changed the oil in it? He said, oh, he probably drained it. Let me call him. And he acted like he called him. He said, yeah, I drained it, just never put none in it. So I got up and under it, and the bolt, you can always tell, man. It don't matter how new or old the truck is. You can tell if that bolt, that oil drain bolt's had a socket or wrench on it, and that thing was covered in muck and mire. It was dirty. You just tell. And so I got it dirt cheap. I got it less than $2,000. Four-wheel drive, had 180,000 miles on it, dually, four-door, manual transmission. Of course, the transmission was wore out. I ended up having to put a transmission in it, but that was partly due to the radiator too. I've had a little bit of trouble out of it, but a lot of it's because I didn't know a lot of stuff. But I'm going to tell you what was wrong with that truck. They thought, I thought it was them, some of them O-rings, because I'd done some research, and that was the most common problem. I worked on that thing, my Fickum, I worked on everything, and I couldn't get injector clatter. I could not get injector clatter, and I changed Fickums, tested the Fickum was good and everything. So what it boils down to is what I ended up doing. I just go through and change fuses and change, I found all the fuses that was blowed. It didn't matter. And of course he had taillights busted out of it. There's all kinds of issues with it, it's just junky. But I changed all the fuses, and every fuse that was blowed, I'd go, find out why it was blowed and fix the bulb or the, bad wires or whatever. But there was a fuse that I kept changing, it kept blowing. And I finally found out what it was this fan fuse. And what happened was this little clip, let's see, how's this? I want to do it to where y'all can see it. This little clip right here, boom, that goes in and out, that had come out. And this wire that goes to the fan had got cut right in here, and it chafed in some wires. And that same circuit powers part of your Fickum or something, your fuel. I even tried, you got the fuel pump where you have a wreck and it'll turn it off, the safety switch, that's on the passenger side kick panel over there. I'd even bypassed all that, I thought it might have been it. You got a button over there you can push on if you pull that kick panel off. And that button is designed when you have a crash to shut the fuel off. But you can push that button in, it'll shut your fuel off, pull it out, whatever. I may have it backwards, but whatever. And I even bypassed it, but it was that fuse that kept blowing, because when I'd change that fuse, I'd get Fickum injector clatter for just a second. I mean, sometimes it's just random stuff with these trucks, man. It just takes time to find it, but that's what it was.